What's up, everyone? This is Kronos, aka Adam, back with another AEW Week In review. As always, what I like to do is go over everything that happened with BTE Dark and Dynamite, get my thoughts, just in case you happen to have missed it or wasn't able to watch it. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Social media is down there. Check me out. I do also WWE stuff. So this weekend, obviously, we have Payback, which is ridiculous that we have a pay-per-view a week after another pay-per-view, but I'll be doing predictions for that, as well as my recap and review. As well as I did some stuff for DC Fandom, some of my trailer reviews and other stuff that I was able to put up. Obviously, been very busy, so I've been trying to get as much stuff as I can on the channel. Anyway, so I got a lot to do today, so let's jump right into BTE. And the title of this episode was "And New TNT Champion," which obviously, if you either listened to my recap or watched Dynamite last week, we have a new TNT Champion. Brody Lee kicking the absolute shit out of Cody, who will now be out of action for an undetermined amount of time. Obviously, there's word that he'll be filming the television show Heels with Stephen Amell. Obviously, they're very close from his days with Arrow, and obviously various different wrestling times that Amell jumped into wrestling. So they're very close there. So we start off with the Dark Order celebrating in their kind of room office that they're always in, and then all of a sudden Silver and Reynolds come in and they have the chilies and everyone just explodes. It's really funny. So then we get the Bucks outside Daly's place talking about their match with Dark Order. We had a Cutler cam of the match. Inner Circle after beating up Best Friends in Orange. Trent on the outside giving the middle finger to them. That's all through the Cutler cam. So we get back to the Dark Order eating chilies. Brody's asking why Silver is next to him. It's a fucking good night and you're going to ruin it. It's pretty funny. His hatred of Silver is hysterical. So he wants everyone to say what everyone used their chilies money for. So apparently they all got like at least $1 million. Reynolds said he spent $1 million on tap dancing lessons. Uno bought a life-size cutout of Brody that watches him sleep. Stu bought a Mustang Shelby. 10 bought guns, and then he flexes these guns. 5 says he bought hair implants because he doesn't want to wear the mask anymore, which I thought was kind of weird, but okay. And then Silver, he's getting yelled at, and he's trying not to laugh. So Brody says, even against my better judgment, I'll ask you. And he says that he wants to help people and all this stuff. And then it's like, psych! And they all start laughing about it. And then Brody says that he has no house. He has a house, but he has no lawn. But he bought 6 riding lawnmowers because fuck Hangman. And so if you remember, Hangman wanted to buy a riding lawnmower because he just wanted one. So we get the Bucks are signing inserts to their new book, Killing the Business. It's probably pretty high up on Amazon and bestsellers already. I might buy it. I'm not as after law school. I've tried to not read as much unless it's comic books, just because I kind of have PTSD from that. So we get Cutler and Avalon. Cutler's proud of him for not using the book in their last match as a weapon, but they still lost though. Avalon starts to freak out, says he's tired of losing and wants to win by any means necessary. And you go your way, I'll go my way, and then they walk off. Leva doesn't know what to do; she's kind of pulled in both directions. So we get Hardy walking around with a chair. The Bucks are trying to figure out what's going on. Hardy's waiting for Sammy to leave the building to give him a receipt. Obviously, they try to get him to do tales from the inside with the receipt, but he won't take the bait. Says he wants them to delete his Tony contract after he beats him up. The Bucks are saying that he's lost it, and they think that they should fire Sammy after what he did. We get Christopher Daniels and Trent doing a back body drop. He can't get up, so then he does an infomercial to Bump Alert, which is basically, if he gets hurt, the kind of life alert where you fall and you can't get up, does it, but in the Bump Alert. It's pretty funny. We got speaking Spanglish. Basically, this is just a big Zoom call where everyone is jumping in there, and something about Marco joins, thinks that he was told that there was going to be women there. And then he, at one point, looks like he's about to either take a shit or jerk off or something. And then, everyone freaks out and it ends. It was very weird. Hangman and Kenny are arguing about FTR. Medusa passes them. They're like, they can't look into her eyes. They know, the stories. Obviously talking about Medusa from, Greek mythology. Medusa walks over, shakes Hangman's hand, but he won't look at her. She mentions she has a bottle of Jack in the back and she wants to have a drink with him. He, of course, gets excited, looks at her, and then freezes. And then Kenny's all pissed off. Medusa picks up his title, almost looks like she's going to throw it in the trash. Obviously, if you don't know, you should know about the history there. Kenny's pissed off at her for making him frozen. So we had Cutler walking down the hallway. Best friend set up a lane, one of those traps where it's like a box with like a stick there, and he's supposed to knock it down, but it's like, it's a small box, and says some lame D&D stuff. That's what's written on the paper. So he's like, oh, look, D&D. So obviously they're back to the drawing board. We get the Dark Order back in their room. Silver is doing his German accent again, and Brody tells them all to leave. Brody asks Silver for a hug, but Hit tosses him over the table. We get the Doc looking at Colt Cabana, because obviously the last time, that there was all this gold on him, and he was all beat up and other things from the best friends. So the Colt says to the Doc, you saved Jerry Lawler, saved my face, and he's wearing basically gold tinfoil over his face. So the Doc says, I think I have an idea. So he grabs one of those massage gun things, and then starts doing it to off camera, and then Colt is screaming, and then that's the end of it. So obviously they're gonna fix Colt's face. His face is fine. We saw it on Dynamite. They got a new end card for Being the Elite, which I thought was cool. Instead, they used to have animation, with Matt doing the "What are you looking at?" And instead now they're using their action figures. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, so that was Being the Elite, BTE, every Monday. And now we're going to go to Dark, which was a very heavy episode of Dark. Really quick, we got Storm Thomas and Dimitri Jackson versus Best Friends. Best Friends are acting super aggressive. Obviously, they've had their issues with Santana and Ortiz, and I think they've been, just really pissed off about what happened. So we get, we get a sexy chucking knee by Trent, a quick hug, and then a double pile driver. So Trent pile drives one of the guys, and then kind of pulls him into Chuck, who then does another pile driver for the win. But yeah, there was no chance in this. They were super aggressive the entire time. Shawn Spears versus Jesse Sorensen. Shawn Spears doesn't, there isn't much fight from Jesse Sorensen. Hits the C4 DVD for the win. Then Tully slips him the metal plate to put in his glove while the ref isn't looking. He hits the guy in the back of the head because they were talking about the whole match about how this guy had neck problems, from early on. So he did that. We then get Red Velvet versus Mel. Velvet with a lot of aggression early. Mel immediately changes the momentum. We get the choke slam bomb by Mel for the win. So Red Velvet just can't really catch a win. Obviously, she was the one who lost in a couple seconds to Sheeta. Lance Armstrong versus D3. No idea why they even allowed D3 to be in here. He throws some fat jobber into the ring with a boot. Boot to D3 in the beatdown. Gives a super high choke slam. He pulls him up from the pin. Archer is ripping at this guy's face. D3 goes for a top rope moonsault. Archer just basically moves out of the way. Hits the blackout, the EBD claw for the win. So we get Luther and Serpentico versus the Initiative, as we were talking about before. Serpentico is being slammed on Cutler by Luther. A hot tag to Avalon. Tiger Driver 97 on Serpentico for a 2 count. We get Avalon with a low blow on Luther, but he only gets a 2 count. Avalon goes to hit Serpentico, but hits Cutler instead. Luther hits a powerbomb on Avalon, and then there's an assisted Meteora on Cutler for the win. So obviously, even trying to be a little dastardly, they still lose. Serpentico and Luther have some kind of bond going on. We've seen a couple times now, dating back to a six-man tag where they basically just hung their partner out to dry, and ever since then they've kind of been together. Nyla Rose versus Kylan King. Kylan's pretty tall, but just, there was no way she was going to get a real win out of here. Vicky sends King off the top rope when she goes for a top rope drop kick. We get a beast bomb for the win. We get a post-match promo by Vicky. They're calling themselves the Vicious Vixens. Okay. Sure. We get the Gun Club versus Frank Stone and Baron Black. Gun Club work over Black. Stone overpowering Austin. We get the hot tag to Billy. He cleans house. He misses a famouser, but eventually Austin hits the quick draw, which he's calling it now, which is the hip toss neck breaker, which I actually really like, for the win. So Gun Club gets another win. Penelope Ford versus Heather Monroe. Heather Monroe actually looked pretty decent in this match. They gave her a lot of offense. We get the Fireman's Carry Gutbuster by Ford. Fisherman Suplex is countered into a straight jacket lung blower by Monroe. Only gets a 2 count. Ford with the German into the corner. Double handspring back elbows. Eventually she hits the Fisherman Suplex for the win. We then get Santana and Ortiz versus the Metro Brothers, which I thought Metro Brothers were for NXT. The name sounds familiar, but I can't remember. Santana with the Three Amigos. Ortiz finally lets the other Metro Brother come into the ring because they were just beating up one of them. I didn't get their names. Santana catches one of them off the top rope for a powerbomb. Ortiz does a sit-out powerbomb, pops up into a kick by Santana for the win. Best friends come out for a fight. Their fight goes all the way to the parking lot, and Chuck suplexes one of them onto a trash can, which is one of the highlights. But this obviously is not over between them. Ricky Starks versus Sean Dean. Starks is punking Dean out to start, kind of just disrespecting him. Does a standing coffin drop out of disrespect to Darby, but only gets a 1 count. There's a float over DDT by Dean. Does a face wash knee in the corner. And then, what's his name? Starks hits a pump kick and then a Rochambeau for the win. We get Marco Stunt versus Jake Hager, which obviously I don't even know, what that was about. Hager is kicking him out of the ring. Stunt is flossing all over because, he can't catch him. Hager just starts destroying him. Does a Uranagi into the triangle choke for the win. Goes for a post-match beatdown, but Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus come out. Hager hits him and runs. We get Kaz versus Kip Sabian, which is actually a really good match. Kaz out solo, so Sky hasn't been with him, and Sky hasn't actually been with them since the TNT title match, maybe even before that. No, even Christopher Daniels. So back and forth, chain wrestling looking really good. Ford tries to trip Kaz, distracts for a Kip drop kick. Kip hits a PK off the apron, does a forward roll into a Kip submission. Kaz gets to the ropes. Kaz with the slingshot cutter. Ford puts his foot on the rope to break up the pin. Kip goes for the coup de grace, misses it, and then Kaz hits a Scorpion Death Drop for the win. So Kaz gets a big win here. Obviously, Kip has been getting momentum, but obviously they want to keep Kaz strong. Not sure for what, but yeah, I thought they would have given Kip the win here, especially because Kaz is kind of like on his own. But interesting to see if they're going to give Kaz any kind of push. What they're going to do with Kip Sabian, because obviously he's been pretty much relegated to Dark. He hasn't been much on Dynamite. We then get the main event, Kiss and Janela versus TH2. Angelico is showboating and getting lit up by Janela. Double team on Angelico. Angelico with a submission on Kiss. Janela in to break it up. Evans in control of Kiss. Just like a showboat cover, but only gets a 2 count. We get a hot tag to Janela. Scorpion Death Drop on Angelico made him DDT Evans. Took too long to set up, but it is what it is. We get Evans dropped on the apron, Kiss with the stomp, and then a Janela with a DVD. Kiss with the moonsault takes out Angelico on the outside. Does a 450 on Evans. Angelico breaks up the pin. Kiss gets knocked off the apron. Evans with the backslide with the bridge for the win. So TH2 keeping them strong. Obviously Kiss and Janela, we'll see them on Dynamite, but a decent match. Obviously I really like TH2. I think Evans and Angelico are really underrated. They seemed pretty strong when AEW first started, but obviously they've been off of TV for a while, mostly due to pandemic. But now that they're back, hopefully they start to push them a little more. But yeah, it was a pretty big episode of Dark. I think almost 10 matches, maybe something like that. It went almost 2 hours. And then we get to Dynamite, AEW Dynamite. So Jericho comes out before the Gauntlet match, just before it starts, right before, to get on commentary. Fans are there for the first time, which I thought was interesting. They're singing Jericho's theme. You could tell he was had that shit-eating grin on his face. He loved it. So they started out hot, right, with the Gauntlet match for the number 1 contender for the tag team title, Natural Nightmares versus the Bucks. Winner faces Best Friends. Winner of that faces FTR. So we got Nick and QT were really great back and forth. Matt and Dustin. Dustin does a bit of like he's blowing up because him and Matt are running the ring together so much he gets tired. Bucks maintaining control. Dustin hits a destroyer on Matt. Jericho says it should be called the Texas Destroyer because he's not from Canada. He's never even been to Canada, which I find is bullshit. QT with the backbreaker, flatliner combo on Matt for a 2 count. Goes for a handspring, misses, gets a super kick party to both of them, and then QT gets hit with the BTE trigger for the win. Best friends come out. So we had Nick with a face buster. Nick doing his typical offense where he kind of does the back flip, the moonsault off the apron to the one guy, comes back in, does the face buster, but he misses the moonsault and catches a spear from Trent when he tries to do that. Does the rising knee, and then so then there's a rising knee by Chuck, and then a sexy Chucky knee by Trent for a 2 count. Best friends in total control of Nick. Matt hasn't even come into the match yet. Trent gets super kicked on the apron, and then a stalling German release on Trent by Nick. That looked rough. We get the hot tag to Matt, top rope spinning stunner by Matt on Trent for a 2 count. Goes for the locomotion. Trent counters the last one with a tornado DDT. We get the soul food half and half combination. Completely throws Nick out of the ring, and we get obviously the hug. Got to give the people what they want. I really miss Excalibur because he just loves that. Matt breaks up a strong zero. Trips Chuck on the apron, and he starts selling a knee. Nick hits a 450 while Trent is draped on the middle rope for a 2 count. And then this is where things got really interesting. So the Bucks go for the Meltzer driver. Hangman comes out of nowhere, is grabbing Nick by his ankle so he can't do the springboard. And while that's going on, Trent rolls up Matt for the win. Kind of like how they lost in the tag team title tournament to Private Party, except there was obviously no Hangman getting involved. But Hangman, you could see his eyes, he was all bloodshot eyes. Or he was either drunk or crying or something, but he couldn't even look at the Bucks, and the Bucks were just in shock. What the fuck are you doing? What did you do? This comes into play later, but this was really good selling by both of them. They show the camera kind of follows Hangman as he's going up the stairs. They have the spotlight on him, but you could tell he doesn't know almost like he doesn't know what he did. He did it, and now he's kind of regretting it. So anyway, so now we get the Best Friends versus FTR. Remember, Chuck was selling his knee from before. So all him and the FTR and Tully have matching monogram jackets, very cute. Chuck still selling his knee. FTR all over Chuck's knee during picture-in-picture. Chuck gets a roll-up on Dax, but it doesn't count as Dax isn't the legal man. But then the ref does count 1 count. It was very weird, almost as if he didn't know what he was doing there or he made a mistake. Chuck's selling the knee really bad at this point. Cash gets a suplex on Trent on the floor. Dax with the chop block on Chuck. Dax with the reverse figure 4 on Chuck. Apparently he's so close to the ropes, but he can't get there. He's writhing in agony, has to tap out. So there are your winners, FTR. They'll be facing Kenny Omega and Hangman Page at All Out for the tag team title. And then Dax kind of holds up he does this. Well, I'm sorry, this or this. I'm trying not to do shocker. As if it's we got 3. As if it's Hangman's part of them. But is that foreshadowing that they just need 1 more to do the 4 Horsemen? Darby video package has a Ricky Starks mask on, and he jumps off a giant bridge, and he says he's not afraid of Ricky. If he thinks he is, look what he's doing now. So then we find out there's going to be a casino battle royal, 21 competitors as there was the last time for a title shot. The first 2 competitors who are announced are Darby and Archer. So we get Lance Archer versus Sean Maluta from NXT, who's part of the Uso family. So he knocks Archer comes out, knocks one of the jobbers out at ringside, which I think is always funny. Gets a toss suplex into the corner, ridiculous chokeslam, pulls him up obviously. Does the blackout, the EBD claw for the win. Pretty standard Lance Archer match. We get a post-match promo. Jake says no one has a chance to beat Archer in the Battle Royal. There's one blemish, and it's cost him so much time because obviously they feel like he's been relegated to Dark and not given any kind of real matches, any chance to regain that title, to attain that title. So then all of a sudden Taz's Cage's music hits with new music. So him, Taz, and Starks all come out. Jake calls them the Flintstones. Team Taz, a member will win it, as Taz is saying. They're going, and then Jake is saying that they're turkeys or something, and they're gonna chickens, and they're gonna get plucked. It's very weird back and forth. You could tell that these guys, on their own they're pretty good, but together with no real script, they were just kind of just all over the place. Darby's music hits. He comes skating in, goes after Starks. They start fighting all the way up the ramp, through the tunnel. Archer and Cage have this big standoff where Taz and Jake are trying to keep them apart. That would be an absolute horse battle for the FTW title. I would love that. So we get MJF for the Walker. It goes to Lee. You think this is funny because, I don't know, I didn't see if Lee smirked or not, but it is pretty funny. We get a video package of Shida and Thunder Rosa. It was actually pretty cool. Tony says first saw Thunder Rosa. Tony Schiavone says he first saw Thunder Rosa in Staten Island. What do you know? So that was pretty cool. NWA video, and we get a voiceover by Billy Corgan, and said that this was a great opportunity for the two organizations to work together. They had obviously licensed some footage from NWA, so that's actually really cool. There's a couple of guys, like I would love to see Eli Drake in AEW. I'm a big Eli Drake smart, so I would love to see him there. And then they get a contract signed between Shida and Thunder Rosa, but it was like pre-taped some other area with the chief legal officer of AEW. I forget her name. She's been in a couple of things though. But hopefully we get to see them, interact physically before this match happens in some way on the next Dynamite. So then we get the AEW title contract signing. Jericho says he could be playing Possum, talking about MJF, which I was like, if that's the case, then why are you spoiling it? Obviously we know that, but it just seemed a little weird. So Mox out with a copy of the contract. Apparently Mox was ranked the number one wrestler in PWO's top 500. Jericho was flipping out about that, and it was really great. It was pretty funny. So the NJF, his attorney is running the signing. Get out of here with that. And then, so MJF says we've all seen a million contract signings, and they always end with physicality. He tells him to practice social distancing, like his hairline. Mox says, you'll get there too when you hit puberty. So he never got the hype. MJF says he never got the hype of Mox. Says Tyson said in the back one time, don't be in a dark alley with Mox. So that was some kind of compliment. He's not a wrestler. You're a certified goon. He says you use people for inspiration like Sandman, New Jack, Zandig, Onita. He says they're all garbage. He had real wrestlers like Buddy Rogers, Ernie Ladd, Tully. Has too high of a ring IQ for him. Then he says, I forget exactly what it is, but MJF mentions his wife, Renee. Says, tell her I'm still single. I knew this was coming. It was too obvious that he was going to mention his wife. And then obviously Mox gets up. What's his name? Attorney starts yelling at Moxley like it's Rocky V. You touch me and I'll sue. You touch me and I'll sue. And he's like, calm down, dickwad. Get out of my face. He said this can go so many different ways now. You've given me no reason to you want to take the paradigm shift. Okay, that just makes me think of all the ways I'm going to beat you, choke you out, or otherwise. He says nothing you say matters. Nothing I sign matters. And on September 5th, you're a dead man. And then they're all celebrating. They're like, you're such an idiot. I can't believe you signed that. And Mox was like, oh, thanks for letting me add page 17, match, and which ends up saying that there's a match against his attorney, and says if the attorney doesn't show up, then MJF doesn't get the title shot. You really can't do that in contract signing, but, obviously this is wrestling. Santana Ortiz video package. Best thing Best Friends could come up with is to apologize over speakerphone, for what they did to Sue's van. They said, step to the inner circle, now you have to deal with them. Basically said that, it could have been better if Sue was in the van while we did that, but I was like, she would have died maybe because, can you, destroy it? So, we then get an 8-man tag. Kiss Janela, Brian Pillman Jr., and Griff Garrison, the, I guess, new Hollywood Blondes, versus Lucha Brothers, Butcher and Blade with Eddie Kingston. They had an earlier picture-in-picture like a promo from earlier today with Kingston. It says they're not a stable. He's just people that he's known for so long back in the day. They all want championships, and he's going to help them get there. He's going to lead them and himself. So the match breaks down early. We get a double team on Blade. Ray Rana's Penta into Janela in the corner, which was really creative. Janela gets beat up during the entire picture-in-picture. We get Janela eventually hits a DVD on Ray on the apron. Penta hits a package pile driver on Janela on the apron. Pillman finally gets in, looks good, but eventually he gets double teamed by both teams for the win. Kingston comes in, wants the ref to raise his hands, says all 5 will be in the Casino Battle Royale, so one of them is going to win and get a title shot. We had a recap of Brody and Cody. There's a lot of mystery surrounding Cody's injury. Dark Order come out. They bring out a coffin dancing like that gif that you'll see. Cole out there with a riding lawnmower. His face is fine. They're talking what everyone bought, so it's kind of like a crossover with BTE, keeping that going. There are lawnmowers all over the arena, which is funny. They bid farewell to Cody. They open up the casket, and it's actually 10 in the coffin. He's got a neck tattoo, and he was wearing a Nightmare Family jacket. Their family is over. Uno then introduces Brody Lee, comes out with Anna Jay. Uno makes them all show their appreciation, high fives. He kind of pulls away from Silver when Silver tries to do it. He then goes over to commentary, tells Tony to come over with him. They go into the ring. Brody says December of last year, Dark Order was a laughingstock and ridiculed while he was in prison because of people like Tony. So he says that the open challenge is over. No indie wrestler, sorry, your chance of getting on TV is over. Tells the Dark Order to shut the hell up. Introduces Anna Jay as 99, kind of like Get Smart references, and a Get Smart reference. Calls her the Queen Slayer. And then Silver's like all excited and gets knocked out by Brody Lee, and then you hear him say like, pick that little shit up, put him in line. It's really funny. Dustin and QT come out. They get beat up. QT's still selling his neck from the BTE trigger. Colt's on the outside watching. He doesn't get involved. Sky comes out, clears most of them out, does a stare down with Lee. Anna Jay turns him around, slaps him in the face. That gives Lee the opportunity to take advantage. So he drags Uno out of the ring, tells him to handle this. Cardona then comes out of the ramp, comes out of the tunnel, does a Rough Rider on Uno, comes into the ring. They are eventually able to clear everyone out. No SCU though, and then Brody Lee comes back out, kind of like the flex, and says, we took care of you. Obviously, we'll find out more about this later. So we get Dasha finds Hangman. Where do you know? At the bar. So the Bucks come in. Of course you're at the bar. You're waiting for someone. So Nick asks if he's afraid. Matt says Hangman never thought he was good enough, but all they wanted was a friend. It was a little over dramatic, but I liked it. Obviously, Hangman's all upset, kind of looking like he's about to cry or drunk. Matt says, you know what? No one wants to tell you this. You're drunk. Throws his own drink in his face. Says, they were hanging on something that he didn't want. So finally, you know what? You get what you want. You're out of the elite. We're done. You're gone. You're out of the elite. The door closes behind them, and it's just Hangman looking into a broken mirror, a la Mojo Rawley from back in the day. So we get. Let's see here. Hold on 1 second. Just trying to make sure. So we get Big Swole versus Britt, Reba, and Ford, but Britt obviously can't compete because she's still in the wheelchair, so it's just Reba and Ford. This was a very sloppy, ugly match. Eventually, Ford gets hit with an errant crutch. It was really bad. Kit got knocked out. It was just really, really bad. It was just really, this made Ford look really bad. But eventually, Swole gets the win, so now she gets a match against Britt Baker. So we'll find out when and where and how. So we find out for next week, we get Santana Ortiz versus the Best Friends. Jericho with a tune-up match against Janela. Bucks and Jurassic Express versus SCU and Private Party. The winners will face each other at All Out. I don't understand that. And then Mox versus MJF's attorney. Anna Jay, Uno, and Stu Grayson approach Tay Conti, who's on the at ringside. They give her an envelope or a folder that says to join us. She takes it, she looks at it, she hugs Anna Jay, so it looks like Tay Conti is going to be in the Dark Order, but I don't think so. I just don't know if it works. We then get another match set for All Out, the Natural Nightmares, Matt Cardona and Scorpio Sky versus the Dark Order. So I don't know, maybe they showed it, I don't know if they showed the lineup for the Dark Order who'll be involved. And then we get our main event, the tables match between Sammy and Hardy. Sammy has his cue cards out during picture-in-picture. Hardy chokes him out to start. Sammy dropped over the top, hits the apron hard, thrown over the barricade. Sammy hits a Burning Hammer GTS on the outside. sets a party on a table, flips over, does like a tope con hilo, and then goes through it, but he only goes through by himself. So I like this, because a lot of the times you get these like bogus finishes in tables matches, and the opponent actually has to put them through the table for it to win. So if you go by yourself doing it on your own, the match still continues. So I like that. So we get Sammy is busted open. All this happened in picture-in-picture. I think he got hit with a chair. Then we get a side effect on the apron. We get Matt with an elbow drop through the table, but he goes through the table on his own. He doesn't put Sammy through it, so the match continues. We get a twist of fate with Sammy's head in the chair, which looked rough. We then get Matt brings in a table with delete written on it, puts it in the ring. Sammy gets up and suplexes him through it. There's a table underneath it, though. That looked really rough. So Sammy wins. We get Orange Cassidy all of a sudden hops out of nowhere, out of frame, over the table, starts attacking Jericho on commentary. They also get broken up. Sammy's in there trying to help out, but it just all gets broken up. It was wild. Jericho looked really pissed off, so obviously we're going to get some kind of confrontation between them next week when Jericho has his match with Joey Janela. But overall, decent week. Nothing too crazy. I think the Dark Order is just looking phenomenal right now. It's one of my favorite things. The stuff with Hangman was really interesting, how it's going to play out now. Will the Bucks have some kind of receipt for him at All Out? Or will it, there was no Kenny also on this episode, so that was very interesting. So yeah, that was everything from AEW this week. As always, I like to give my match of the week, and I'm definitely going to give it to the main event of AEW Dynamite, Sammy versus Matt Hardy in a tables match. This was brutal. This was great. I'm assuming this is not going to be the end of the two of them. Obviously, they got the receipt where Sammy got busted open. I don't know if that was a work or a shoot. But either way, he lost a lot of blood. Matt was looking good, though. So yeah, that's about it for this week. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know if I'm doing good, bad, otherwise. Always looking for feedback, positive or negative. I'm cool with it. So yeah, social media is down there. As always, be safe, love each other, and bye now.